What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Okay, a little mailbag time at John Middlekauff. This mailbag's going to be rapid fire. So we're going to try to go really quick, bang out a bunch of questions, and not be on here for too long. We'll start with this. Rams fan. Obviously, Stafford is still playing at an elite level. How do you see the Rams going about their future quarterback situation moving forward? It's no secret they'll be in the market for a quarterback. They added the Falcons' first-round pick. But if Stafford is a top 6 to 8 quarterback and stays healthy, should the Rams look to keep him for another year while the rookie quarterback learns? I think it's pretty simple. I think they are going to have the optionality to give him another one-year deal, similar like this year. Like, Matt, you want to make more money? You can go somewhere else. Here's what we're willing to offer, but it's going to be a year-by-year situation. And two, if there's a quarterback they like enough, assume the Falcons win 7 to 9 games, so that pick is not going to be terrible. I guess they could. They could win 10. So both those picks could be in the 20s. Could you package those picks and get to 7 or 8 or 9? I think you could. So if they like the quarterback, they could move up to get him. If they don't, they can just stick and pick. So they're going to have options and just kind of the thing they got going for them is they got a lot of equity. And anytime, Chris Ballard, his back was against the wall because the franchise wasn't going well and the owner forced him to take Anthony Richardson. The Rams are not going to be forced to do anything, and they shouldn't. Like, in McVay, you trust, and you just let him and Snead do whatever they want with Stafford. Obviously, if they're going to want to give him another contract, that means he's playing well and he's healthy. If they don't, it means they think he's old and he's done, right? So, and you let Snead, wheel and deal in the draft. I think you're in a good spot for something that you don't have an answer to. Question for the pod. What's with the hate for Carlie Irsay-Gordon? She's grown up around football her whole life and probably knows more in the sport than most of the Joes sitting at home yelling at the TV. Why is it a big deal that she's on the sideline with the headset writing in her, quote, stupid little notebook? That's my words, not his. As a Colts fan, one of our biggest complaints is that Jim he was out of touch. He focused on money and guitars and amazing philanthropies, but it felt like he didn't know what was going on in-house. I respect Carlie for at least putting in the effort. Let's give her some time before making fun of her. She got made fun of by me simply because I think it's performative. To be on the sideline taking notes in what I said, stupid little notebook with a headset is unlike any team in the league. And we have owners like Jerry Jones, who played college football, who's the general manager, like Al Davis, who was basically the coach / general manager, never were on the sideline. Because think about it like this. If you work for somebody, whether it be a big company or a small company, and every time that you had a big meeting, a big situation in your job, that owner was right behind you, staring at you, that'd be an uncomfortable place to work. There's a reason when you watch the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, their owner's in the box. If you want to listen to the headset, I don't even have an issue with that. You own the team, you can do that. But to be on the sideline with the headset taking notes, give me a fucking break. And this is not, well, you're just saying this because she's a chick. I don't give a shit. I would say this about any owner. No one does it. No one is doing this throughout the league. I don't see Jeffrey Lurie on the sidelines. Hell, I don't even see the GMs being like a quote-unquote. What are we doing this for? I do not understand it. Now, I heard her quote, you're going to pay millions of dollars. Like, I get it, but like, why are you doing this and no one else is doing this? What are you gleaning from this? To me, you make it worse. And honestly, I think it's a look at me moment. I truly believe that. You can say, what is it hurting? Well, there's a reason no one else even contemplates doing this. I have no problem if you're up in the booth or, even what Tom Brady did, out of the way, but in the owner's box, taking notes, you can do whatever you want. I don't have an issue with that. But on the sideline with a headset, give me a fucking break. Okay, today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. It's week 3, and if you haven't tried your first bet yet on Hard Rock, there's still time for you to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Just place a $5 bet. If it hits, You not only get your winnings, but 150 in bonus bets. Thursday Night Football is happening, AFC East. The Dolphins going to the Bills. I like the Bills big, not only to cover the spread, but every prop when it comes to Josh Allen. I think he goes nuts. Throws several touchdowns, runs for a touchdown. I like to have a massive game and dominate the Dolphins. We got big-time college football coming up. I do like a couple underdogs. I do think Auburn, who played Oklahoma really well last year, is going to be feisty in this game. I also think Texas Tech against Utah. I think Utah's pretty good, but Texas Tech had a bunch of guys come in the transfer portal. They've spent a lot of money on this team, as well as Tulane against Ole Miss. I like those underdogs to keep it frisky. Hard Rock Bet has new promos every day. This week's there's profit boost for 5 straight days of football. That's a Thursday night profit boost, a Friday college profit boost, another profit boost Saturday's college games, plus NFL Sunday, like the Steelers big that weekend, and Monday night, kind of like the Lions. Let's get it on. Been listening to you for about a year. Definitely blah, blah, blah. Appreciate the kind words. I know you mentioned that you worked at Cal Poly's athletic department, and my end goal is to become a college athletic director. How big of a deal is networking when it comes to trying to get that job? I just want to make sure that athletic director Danny White is, yeah. When I was at Fresno State, Danny White, who is now the AD at Tennessee, his brother was a basketball coach. He used to coach at Florida. I think he coaches at Georgia now. His dad was the athletic director at Notre Dame. This guy was just kind of I would say, very similar to a politician. And I think part of being an AD, it's like the athletic version of being a politician. It's about raising money. It's about keeping people with the money happy. It's about being the front-facing guy in some tough decisions. But networking, which is a skill I suck at, I'm not great at it. You know, relative to a lot of you guys that are listening in whatever industries you're in, your network is your net worth. I do believe that. But just on a daily basis, I could be a lot better at it, just in terms of keeping up with my relationships, networking new ones. I've always kind of hated that term. It just feels kind of hollow and fake. But I'm not a great politician. And there are certain industries I couldn't have done because I don't have those skills. So if you are going to get to the highest level, Division I athletic director, I think it's borderline impossible without being a really good networker. Knowing people, dealing with people, schmoozing with people. I think it's the majority of your job. Now, obviously, if you hire the right, if you're the AD and you hire Nick Saban or Urban Meyer, you're going to have incredible job security. But I think it's a huge part of the job. I think it's a main part of the job. In the pie chart, I would say networking, which also includes raising the money, the boosters, dealing, kind of that realm, is the overwhelming majority of the gig. Can we talk about how McDaniels is basically the offensive version of Brandon Staley? Both likable media darlings and genius for their respective sides. Garbage head coaches with their teams quitting on them 3 years later. Yeah, I mean, I would say that Brandon Staley was known as a really good coach under Fangio, and then he got the 1 year, it was 2020 with the Rams. I would say Josh has accomplished a lot more, and Josh does have a champion in Tom. That, like, who is Brandon Staley's guy beating down the drum for? Like, Brandon Staley is him, as the kids would say. Like, Tom believes that. Whether he's right or not, like, Tom believes that. Hell, Peyton Manning thought Adam Gase was that guy. When you have a high-level endorser, talk about networking, like, if Tom Brady is your number one, hey, I need a list of references, I need 10 of them. If my only list of reference is Tom Brady or Peyton Manning and I'm a football coach, it's going to be a pretty good one. So I just don't know who that guy is for Brandon Staley. I would say, in fairness to Josh, I couldn't even compare Brandon Staley to Josh McDaniels. And I think they're both, what the hell's the school in Ohio? I think they went to the same college. A bunch of guys did. Youngstown State, I think. Or Youngstown. Is that where Brandon Staley went to school? I know Josh did. He's from Ohio. He went to, no, I guess Brandon Staley went to Dayton, but coached. Did he coach at Youngstown? Maybe it was John Carroll. John Carroll is the school. I get some of these smaller schools in Ohio mixed up. Question for the pod. I gotta pick up the pace here. I said rapid fire. Lions fan. I think Jared Goff is a top 4 quarterback in the sport at the moment. Everybody's ready to put Herbert to top 5 status, but not Goff, even though he had better success than Herbert. Since 23, he's first in yards, passing yards per game, and he's second in touchdowns and completion percentage. But it feels like the media is pushing a certain narrative that he's just an above average quarterback. The players think he's top 15 in the league, but not the media. A top 15 player in the league. Your thoughts? I guess, is that based on the top 100 last year? I would say there's not a general manager in the league that would take Jared Goff over Justin Herbert. And the element is like Justin Herbert can make every throw that he can. Obviously, Goff benefits. I mean, he has an incredible offensive skill group from St. Brown to Laporta to Gibbs to Jamison Williams. I mean, hell, they even draft this guy Tesla, who looks literally like a Tesla. He's fucking awesome. I just think Justin Herbert's a better player than Jared Goff. And if you had to choose, I don't think anyone in the sport of football would take Goff or Herbert over Goff. Excuse me, Goff over Herbert. That being said, like Goff's had an incredible career and is having an awesome career and is an excellent player and is going to go to a bunch of Pro Bowls, is going to make a lot of money, and he's already won some playoff games. So to me, Herbert has to do it in the playoffs, but I think Justin Herbert's a better player, more versatile player. I mean, the running element is something Jared Goff just can't move. So if you could hit Jared Goff, he's like the better version of Dak and Kirk Cousins. Herbert's like the lesser version of Josh Allen. I hear what you're saying. If you want to give me statistics, I can't argue, but I just think that I think you're underselling. I would not say Jared Goff's top 4 quarterback. Top 10 quarterback, top 6 or 7 quarterback, right? Like how many guys, if you go Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow if healthy, Herbert, I think you get in that next group. Like who's a better passer from the pocket, Jared Goff or Jalen Hurts, right? How many guys in the NFC are better pocket passers than Jared Goff? Not many, but he has no scramble ability. None. So if he has to scramble, you're in major trouble. That's where it's like even Dak can move, right? Jalen obviously can move. Purdy can scramble around. Baker, who's really good. I mean, the NFC, Jordan Love. I think the NFC is full of guys that are not top 5 guys, but when they're playing well, are really, really good players. And Jared Goff's played well for a long time. He was the number 1 overall pick. My question is this: how are the Pittsburgh Steelers defense this bad under Mike Tomlin? The offense under Rodgers doesn't seem like it's going to be too bad. Even with the O-line issues, that defense is getting torched. Would love to hear your thoughts. I think this is definitely must win for the Bears just to like keep some credibility in their season. If the Steelers lose this season, I saw Rodgers say today, like, hey, we can't have this binary mindset. It's about the process, not winning and losing. It's like, yeah, true, Aaron. But this defense can't be this bad. And if you go on the road to New England and can't stop Drake May and some pretty average pieces, it wouldn't be concerning. It would be a 5-alarm fire. So the first 2 games from a defensive perspective, I thought their defense was going to be good. Maybe not the best defense in the league, but one of the better ones. And they look really, really bad. I understand they have some new secondary pieces, but there's just like a lack of physicality that just pretty evident when you watch him play. So I would say it's a little concerning. This is a huge week for the kind of the Mike Tomlin rah rally the troops Monday through Friday. Like by the time the game comes, this team should be ready to fucking dominate. If the Steelers are going to be a credible playoff level team, they win this game and will look really good. If they don't, could be a weird season in Pittsburgh. And not even just win this game, but like hold New England to, I don't know, low double digits, like 13 points, and just win a game like 25-13 or 24-10 and just kind of smother Drake May and the offense. That's what I'd want to see if I was a Steelers fan. I know the Panthers not great for business, but I'm sadly a Panther diehard. I'm at the point where I think it's likely that Bryce is not our franchise quarterback. Obviously, it's dependent on how this quarterback class shakes out, but from a general philosophy standpoint, do you think we should draft a quarterback in 2026? Or should we bring in a bridge quarterback and draft the best player available? On one hand, I don't want to set up another rookie quarterback to fail, but on the other hand, with McMillan, who actually was making some plays, Chuba and Coker, I think our offensive weapons are good enough for a rookie quarterback to succeed. I was kind of high on the Panthers. I thought they would be them and the Titans. I mean, I look like a fucking moron right now. Now, granted, at this point in time last year, I had the Saints. Love the Saints coming into the season. They were 2-0. I look like a genius. Things can change. But the Panthers have been really, really underwhelming. I think it's a little concerning. I'd be lying if I've watched all the snaps. I mean, I've had them on one of my TVs, but I haven't really been paying attention once they've been down big. I know they kind of came back. That score looks a lot closer. I mean, they were down what 27-9 in the second half against the Cardinals. So it's the NFL. You kind of just mentally check out, and they kind of came storming back. But I'm with you. It's pretty concerning. I would say he's got to. I have a hard time envisioning a scenario where they're drafting in the top 5 or 6 and they roll it back with Bryce. I really do. Now maybe they could do something where if they're bad again, they've already done that, like an Andy Dalton type and draft the best player available, but that's pretty dark. So I would say that Bryce's career feels like we're pretty close for it being scary time for him. It was last year, kind of settled it down. Feels like we're right back to where we were when he got benched. He's a better player than that, but yeah, you can't play 3 years and the team suck and just keep your gig. Okay, a couple more. I feel like there's a little bit too much faith being put in the idea the Chiefs' offensive problems will be solved once Rice and Worthy return. I don't question that those guys will certainly help, but I feel like people are acting like Rice is Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase when we only saw Rice look like a good wide receiver for about half a season. Agree. In my mind, I don't think that he's going to come back and just be the top wide receiver everyone is acting like he's going to be. Not to mention, he absolutely is atrocious in the run game. And an old Travis, I think this team is being held together with duct tape. Yeah, I talked to a buddy there. I think they're a little more optimistic than you. Uh, I think defensively they're still going to be good. I'm with you. I mean, I think we got to be careful, and I'm guilty of this too. Like once these guys come back, they're not chasing Jefferson. Hell, they're not like Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. Like they ideally would be fine. He had a major knee injury. Xavier Worthy's got 59 balls. It's not like he's just been some dominant player, but Andy can scheme him open. I actually think he's a really skilled player. I'm pretty high on Xavier Worthy, honestly. But run game, it's not ideal. But Coach Reed's not a big call run guy. So I mean, as long as you got Mahomes and you got the defense, like you're going to stay credible. I would be stunned even with an 0-2 start first time in 10 plus years if they're not 10-7. Like I hear you saying it'd be duct tape, but when you say duct tape, they're an injury or two away from being 7-10. That would really surprise me. I would say their floor would be like 9-8. Ceiling probably 10 or 11 wins though, so their ceiling's not very high at this point. But I just have a hard time seeing their floor be a disaster. I mean, 7-10 for the Chiefs would be the equivalent of like 2 wins for most teams. Okay, a couple more. With all the talk about banning the tush push, why not take it a step further and just ban the quarterback sneak? I feel like better for football in a short yardage required the running actual football plays. I do think the quarterback sneak is a football play. I mean, it's a pretty historic play. My entire life, people would run the quarterback sneak. And no one ever had a problem with the quarterback sneak until the tush push. I think the tush push and the quarterback sneak are two dramatically different plays. I feel like, could be wrong, in my life watching football, let's just say since I was 10, 30 plus years, the quarterback sneak is not some 99% effective play. It might be over 50, but it's probably closer to 50 than it is 75. I mean, think how often we see the quarterback sneak stuffed. Hell, Josh Allen, who's one of the more physically gifted quarterbacks in league history, couldn't get quarterback sneaks last year against the Chiefs. So I got no problem with the quarterback sneak. The tush push is a completely different animal. It seems to me that neither the Bengals nor the Bears seem to find any success with their current rosters. Is it crazy for the Bengals to trade Joe Burrow to Chicago for Caleb, Rome, and 2 to 3 first-round picks? The idea is similar to the Stafford Goff trade. The Bears get what Ben Johnson wants, the best pocket quarterback, and the Bengals get a ton of picks. They also get to trade for a wide receiver for picks for a fast-track rebuild. I know it seems out of pocket, but Burrow has serious health issues, as we've seen in the last 3 years. I'm a fan from Greece, so forgive my ignorance. I kind of don't hate this situation of let's just say Burrow misses the rest of the year. So he's had three major injuries that's knocked him out for the season in three separate seasons. You could argue the knee one's a little freakish, but the other two, you just don't see very often. Uh, I have a hard time, and I've said this from the jump. The injury maybe changes the conversation a little bit, but seeing Mike Brown trade Joe Burrow, I mean, it would have to get way uglier for him to pull the trigger. And for Caleb and Rome, so then he's got all these wide receivers and a quarterback that we don't know can play. Getting rid of Joe Burrow, I think the Bears. I think Ben Johnson would 100% make that trade. I think in whatever version, Rome, Caleb, and two first round picks for Burrow, maybe even throw in some other player. I think the Bears would do whatever that version of that trade is, which is somewhat fair, even if it's quote unquote an overpay. I think the Bengals would 100% say no, even with a turf toed Joe Burrow. I just think the Bengals aren't even close to not even just to a yes, but to entertaining the idea. I could be naive on this one, but just haven't seen the Carson Palmer situation. To see the way they handle some of these off-field situations with contracts, I think we are a long way away. Look how long it took for the Stafford situation to materialize. What was he drafted in '07? So he played what, 14, 13 plus years there? What year's Joe Burrow? Drafted in 2020. So 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. This is a sixth season in the league. I mean, we're not even halfway to what the Lions endured with Stafford, and they didn't even have any success really. They made the playoffs a couple times, never won a playoff game. So I think I hear what you're saying, and I don't mind the outside the box kind of baseball, basketball type trades. I just think the Bengals are a long. It's crazy to say if you're a Bengal fan, you're like, what? Why are we a long way away? Guy gets hurt all the time. Just look at the owner, man. They paid him a bunch of money. They will continue to pay him a bunch of money, but I think I mean, minimum 18 months this season and then another season before that stuff. So we're several off seasons before that even gets entertained. And I think the Bears would be all over that trade if it was available.